So, have you been thinking about doing your MBBS abroad? Or maybe if you want to practitioner, like you want to practice being a doctor, practice medicine abroad after MBBS. So, what will be your roadmap? What are the fact versus fiction about this approach? Like whether you want to do MBBS abroad. Also, we will also dive into today's video about what are the favorite destination for Indians to do MBBS abroad and how much it is different compared to India. So, in India, the only way to get into the field of medicine to do MBBS is through NEET. Now, there are two ways to get into the college. Like number one, into the government colleges through the government quota, that is purely based on merit. Second is you can also go into private colleges through the management quota, but for that also NEET is compulsory. Now, generally, if I talk about the private quota in India, it will cost you maybe on an average roughly around 1 CR for the entire MBBS course. It might vary here and there depending on the location, depending on the college, but that is generally the amount which is required to get MBBS in terms of management quota in India. So, as a fun fact, we will start out with what are the most popular destination for Indian student to do their MBBS outside. Now, MBBS, what I mean by MBBS is kind of a bachelor degree in the field of medicine. Now, why I said that? Because MBBS is a term common in few countries, but not necessarily all. So, we will talk about those things in detail, about what are the opportunities, where in abroad it is good to practice being a doctor and so on. So, if I talk about for MBBS, the top destination right now is Russia, Georgia, Philippines and Kazakhstan. Now, do you know why that is the case? In fact, many of you will be like, okay, this is the first time you are hearing about it. Maybe Russia, yes, a pretty popular country, a very advanced country in terms of tech and defense. But if I talk about Georgia, Philippines, Kazakhstan, maybe it might come as a surprise to you. But I'll tell you where the catch is. The catch is about the fees. If you look at the annual fees, this is the annual fees on an average if you want to pursue a bachelor degree in the field of medicine abroad. So if you want to pursue in the field of medicine, this will be the tentative fees, because these countries are not very costly countries. The cost of living are not very high compared to Europe and US, and the duration will be more or less compared to if you want to do MBBS in India. So as you can see, the annual fees, let's say if including travel and all everything, hostel, if I include and make it even 10 lakh rupees. So for a 5-year course, it will cost you only 50 lakhs, that is including travel, hostel, everything. But whereas in India, if you are getting a seat in MBBS through merit rank, through a government college, then it is like almost nothing. The fees is almost nothing. But if you are trying to go with a management quota, the fees will exceed these values. So that is why you might see many students going abroad, especially in these countries, to do MBBS. In fact, before the Russia-Ukraine war, or when the war started 2 years back, you might have heard that a lot of Indian students were coming back. So in fact, Ukraine was also a very popular destination to do MBBS earlier, before the war. So these are some top destinations in which many Indian students goes. So top destination is based on the number of Indian students going there to do MBBS. We're not talking about the quality of MBBS, how it happens, etc., etc. This is just purely based on that, because they are actually comes out to be cheaper than doing MBBS in India in management quota. Now, if I talk about the entire world, in fact, US is considered to be best in terms of healthcare. Many people who can afford, they go to US for doing their surgery. So medical tourism is very popular in US, and in fact in US the field of medicine is also very competitive and people want to go that, because if I talk about in USA, lawyer, doctor and engineer, they are the highest paying jobs over there and by a significantly big margin. So that is why US has always been a very top destination in terms of quality healthcare, as well as like in terms of earning for a doctor. So US is a very top destination. Then there is Europe, because different countries have different curriculum, different fees structure. So in Europe there is a lot of variation. But if I have to place India also, India is also among the top few nations when it comes to the field of medicine across the globe. In fact, India is, I think, the second major destination in terms of medical tourism after USA. So a lot of people from Africa, like other Asian countries, come to India for their treatment. So India has a tremendously good healthcare system, and they have good quality doctors, good hospitals. So in fact, I'll say this is one of the few things in India is doing really, really well. But as I said, in India, the competition is really high. So looking from a perspective of an MBBS student, for a management seat can cost you really high. But let us look into what will happen in US and Europe. So if I talk about in USA, so in USA it's not like India, where bachelor degree itself is in like being a doctor. Like it's not like at the bachelor you do MBBS. So in USA, what happens? You do a bachelor in science. Now there is no restriction what kind of subjects you take, but preferably student takes biology and chemistry compulsorily. They take physics or maths depending on their interest. So you do a bachelor's, then you do a MD. So once you are done with your BS course, then you do a MD, which is to go into the field of medicine to be a doctor. Now, so that's how the medical journey or the journey of to be a doctor begins at USA. So you have to do like pre-med. Pre-med is basically some kind of bachelor course. Then you have to do MD. So the degree you get is MD. And generally after your bachelor course, after BS course, you have to write a MCAT, which is like for the medicine. And for Indian student, you also need to have the NEET score, TOEFL and IELTS. But yeah, you can have to write MCAT. Then you do MD. And if you want to come back to India and practice in India, then you have to write the next exam, which is for the licensing. So that is the roughly estimate how it happens in USA. So USA is the best education, but the thing is in USA it's slightly costly. So if you want to do the degree in USA, it will cost you quite a good amount of money, maybe somewhere around 2 CR in terms of Indian value, but somewhere between that, like it can vary a little bit depending on your living expenses, the place where you are living, etc. But whereas if I talk about Europe, so in Europe, as I've told you earlier, Ukraine, Russia, a lot of countries are there. So in Europe also, like you have to have the IELTS, TOEFL. Then again, the degree might vary, like depending on country to country, but yes, it is significantly lesser. So generally, most of the people who does their like MBBS abroad, especially those countries where it is significantly cheaper, they will try to come back to India, but they want to come back to India, they have to get a license. They have to be a certified like doctor, a licensed practitioner. So they have to write the FMGE and the next exam, which is a basic requirement to practice in India. And so if I talk about USA, in USA it's a longer pathway, because what happens in USA is that you have to do your BS, then you have to do your MD. After MD it's also compulsory residencies, like you have to be a resident doctor. So you have to practice that. So it's a very long process. It's a very higher cost. But yes, if you do that from USA, you can directly get a good recognition. Because in USA, as I've told you, the field of medicine is pretty advanced. You directly get recognition in India. And as I've told, if you want to work as a professional doctor in US, it's one of the most highest paying jobs across the globe. So in terms of doctor, the highest paying doctor on an average are from USA. So in terms of job opportunities, unmatched. US is just unmatched. If I talk about Europe, Europe is more direct, lower cost, but you have to write the next exam, the FMGE exam, to practice in India. So Europe is not that high paying as a professional doctor career as USA. But yeah, USA takes, if you want to study in USA, it takes more money as well as a longer pathway. So if I talk about the admission criteria, so you have to write the NEET exams. You need to have good marks in the PCB. Now here I would like to talk about for all the various boards. So be it a student from IB board, be a student from IGCSE board. So whichever board you are, it is always essential or it is always important that you take higher level of biology, physics and chemistry. Now it is not required, especially higher level of physics and chemistry sometimes are not mandatory in many countries. But let us say if you are studying in India right now and you want to pursue medicine, but you are not sure which country you want to go to, maybe US or a certain country in Europe, or maybe if you want to do in India, then it is important that you take A levels or the higher level of bio, physics and chemistry, because that will make you on a safe, like it will be a very safe side. Many places it might not be required, but if you do that, it will be beneficial for you and a long run as well. And definitely when you write NEET, it will be highly helpful. This will not be an issue with the CBSE curriculum because there is no high level or A level or AS level of examinations. But yeah, this is very, very important for those studying in other boards apart from CBSE. Now in terms of documentation, definitely you will require a passport if you want to take admission abroad. You want transcript, they need your medical certification. And also they will require the language proficiency. Because if you are going to a country, let's say you want to go to a country like Germany. So in Germany, it will be mostly the German language. So if you do not know the German language, you might not be able to understand what's being taught to you. So language proficiency depends on the country that you are going. Obviously US, UK means you need to clear the TOEFL IELTS because it's English speaking countries. So these are the admission criteria if you are looking for admission abroad to do your like a degree in field of medicine. Now, if you want to practice in India after finishing your foreign MBBS, so what you need to do is you have to get a licensing exam, because obviously without licensing exam you cannot do that. So you have to take the licensing exam, the upcoming next exam. You need to have an internship. In fact, among all the countries, it's kind of necessary to do a kind of internship, or you can say you have to be a resident at the hospital and do the work. And then you need to register. You need to register with the National Medical Commission to practice in India. If you have done your foreign MBBS, maybe some countries like Russia and so on. Now, if I talk about you want to practice internationally, let us say whether you have done your MBBS in India or you have done it abroad, but let's say you want to practice, you want to be a practitioner, you want to be a doctor settled in a specific country. So if I talk about USA, so in USA you have to write the USMLE exam. So it happens basically in 3 level. Generally one will happen at the second year of your MD in USA, one will happen at the 4th year, and one will happen at the end of your practicals or your internships. If I talk about in UK, you have to write the PLAB assessment. It will also happen in 2 levels. In Canada, if you want to go, you have to write MCCQE qualifications. But residency is compulsory in all the countries, because doctor is a profession which is a very noble profession, as well as it directly affects the life of people. So you have to be very, very careful, and obviously you need to have good experience, first-hand experience in handling patients. So handling patient is not just about bookish knowledge, it's about supporting them, understanding their requirement, understanding what's beneficial for them, handling their relatives. So it's a mixed bag. Tell them about their problems physically, tell them about the expectations. So all of that is important part of that. That's why residency is compulsory no matter where you want to pursue. So as I've told, USA definitely the highest paying by far margin. So nothing is as compared, like in terms of advancement, technology and pay opportunities, is the best in field of medicine. So if we talk about certain specialization, so globally, no matter which country you go, now this is I'm talking about irrespective of any country. Globally, you will see that these 3 specialization, that is cardiology, neurology and orthopedics, is always in high demand no matter which country you go. So even in India that is the case, but even if you go to any random country, that will be the case all the time. For other India specific, like it's not just India specific, I'll say that even in many other countries these are of like high demand, that is general medicine, pediatric, gynecology. But yes, like in few countries it might not be of that much high demand, but definitely in US also it's of high demand. I'm talking about something which can be globalized, or in a worldwide view can be generalized. So the more focus is on that side. Now again, in terms of being a doctor, it's all about being specialized. Like a generic doctor, someone who have just done MBBS, again we can add little value in people's life, because let's say if someone is sick, they have an issue, that issue need to be properly diagnosed. Like we need to diagnose the issue first, and then we have to give the certain suggestions or certain remedies. So it is highly specific field. So generally just doing MBBS or doing a general medicine will not be of that much effectiveness in terms of your contribution to society. So generally it's advisable you do a certain specialization. Now coming to in terms of how to make the decision whether you want to study abroad, you want to do MBBS abroad, you want to do in India, or you want to study in India, then you want to go to abroad. So it all depends on your personal goals. So number one, first of all, ask yourself where you want to practice, where you want to settle down. If you have been aspiring to settle down in a foreign country, it's okay, it's your preference, your choice. But the thing is, ask that question to yourself, talk to your friends and family, and ensure that then you take the right steps for it. So be clear of your personal goals. Now, financial consideration are very important, because if you want to study medicine in USA, it will cost quite a lot. In fact, I'll say getting into merit quota through NEET in India is one of the cheapest way to have high quality education, because as I've told, India is after USA one of the best in terms field of medicine. So that is the best way. But if in case you're not able to get high scores, or if in case the affordability is there and you want to go to US, then definitely you can consider that option. And then location preference. So where you want to practice. So as I've told you, it's easy to do MBBS in some European college. It'll also be of lesser fee value compared to doing management quota in India. So that is also one option if you're not able to get the management quota. But definitely if you can afford more, going to US will be a better option. So these are some important points based on which you can take up the right decision for yourself. So I hope this video is very, very helpful for all of you. If in case you have any specific question about doing MBBS abroad or settling down and practicing medicine in abroad after MBBS, feel free to comment below. We'll reply you, we'll help you out. And so this is all for now. And if you want us to address or make a video on a specific topic, you can also mention that in the comments. So all the best to all of you, and see you in the next video.